There was one question we were all asking during the initial months of this pandemic. Is it safe to eat meat? On this show, we have previously answered a lot of your FAQs and debunked popular myths about meat eating. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this tonight is because there is a very interesting trend picking up in China. Chinese companies are betting on the future of plant-based meat. And now, before you correct me, I would like to mention that plant-based meat, or faux meat, as they're known, are not a new phenomenon in the world, certainly not in China. In fact, mock meat dates back to the Tang dynasty, which is between 618 to 907 AD. What I want to talk about tonight is the trend picking up again. And Chinese businesses looking to invest in mock meats. What was the trigger? Did the Wuhan virus pandemic have anything to do with it? There are two things you may want to factor in. First, the crackdown on wet markets, and second, the fear of meat. We still do not know for sure if the Wuhan virus originated from a bat. And if this is proven to be true, the Wuhan virus would only be one of the many zoonotic diseases that the Chinese have fought over the years. Off the top of my head, I can think about the African swine flu and the bubonic plague. Could this virus have been the last nail in the coffin for meat eating in China? Meat, you see, is a status symbol in China. Why then are businesses investing in meat alternatives? Did the Wuhan virus force the Chinese into rethinking their menu, or is this another instance of Chinese companies cashing in on a global trend? If we go by the numbers, then one would be forced to consider that the decline in meat consumption began way before this pandemic. And it was in line with a global wave of veganism and vegetarianism. Between 2014 and 2016, for example, the sale of pork declined from 42.29 million tons to 40.85 million tons. In 2018, a survey found that almost 3 out of 4 Chinese people were ready to swap meat for a plant-based substitute. These numbers are pre-pandemic in fact, and they are higher than any other country. But they also spell business opportunity. China is home to over 1.4 billion people. Only 4 to 5% of them are vegetarians, and this makes China the consumer of 27% of the global meat production. Now, if 3 or 4 people were open to switching to faux meat, imagine the kind of market this business will have access to. Do the calculation, and you would have a number. American faux meat businesses have had their eyes on China for a while now. It was in December 2019 that the South China Morning Post was talking about possible challenges that American plant-based meat companies could face in China. It mentioned the recent outbreak of African swine fever, which has driven up the price of pork and primed consumers for alternatives. And if the American companies can win over even a small fraction of the country's 1.4 billion people, the opportunity, it said, is massive. Well, the same report spoke about American companies trying to have their production running in China by the end of 2020, this year. The pandemic has changed everything. It has forced a setback. American companies could not make much of a mark in China. So Chinese businesses are using the pandemic as an opportunity to take over the market at home and outside. And it is working in their favor that the people of China and the world have become more conscious about consuming meat because of the Wuhan virus pandemic. Is it just another case of profiteering from the pandemic? We'll let you decide that.